hear something main going on. This meeting of the Wheat Ridge Planning Commission to order for October 18th, 2018. Could I get a roll call of the members, please?
Alan Bucknam.
Present.
Emery Dorsey.
Here.
Daniel Larson.
Present.
Janet Leo. Here. Scott Ohm.
Here.
Richard Peterson. Here. Vivian Voss.
Present.
And Amanda Weaver is absent tonight.
Thank you. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, could I have a motion to approve the order of the agenda, please?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the order of the agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, I'll call for a vote, please.
Motion passed 7-0.
Great. All right, next item up is the approval of the minutes for our last meeting, September 20th.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 20th, 2018.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion about the minutes? Okay, vote please.
Motion passed 7-0.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing. This is our public forum, pardon me. This is the time for any person to speak on any subject not appearing on the agenda. Do we have anybody signed up?
We do not.
All right, thank you. And I see no one in the audience running to the lectern there. I think we'll move on to the public hearing. Okay, public hearing. We have one item today, case number MS-18-03. This is an application filed by Jeff Bustos for approval of a consolidation plat from 4 lots to 1 lot for property zoned residential 3 located at 2645 Chase Street. And could I get the staff report, please?
Hi everyone, I'm Scott Cutler. I'm a planner with the City of Wheat Ridge Community Development Department. We're here tonight to hear case number MS-1803, which is a request for approval of a consolidation plat from 4 existing lots into 1 at 2645 Chase Street. I'd like to enter into the public record the contents of the case file, the subdivision regulations, and this digital presentation. The properties within the City of Wheat Ridge and all appropriate notification and posting requirements have been met. Therefore, Planning Commission has the jurisdiction to hear the case. The subject properties are outlined in red in the middle of the screen. The property is located on the west side of Chase Street between 26th and 27th Avenues, and a public alley runs east-west along the southern border of the site. The site is currently occupied by a duplex that was built in approximately 1963. And you can see that much of the area is comprised of small 25-foot wide lots, and oftentimes improvements such as houses cross these lot lines, which is the case with this site. This property consists of 4 25-foot wide lots, each approximately 2,000 square feet. Even though there's a common taxpayer on all 4 lots, this is independent of the actual platting of the land. And the plat shown later in this presentation will make this more clear. The zoning on the property is zoned residential 3, which allows single-family homes up through multifamily at 12 units per acre, and most of the surrounding area is also zoned R3. So I'll explain why we're here tonight. The city became involved after being contacted by a title company representing the buyer of one side of the duplex. A duplex split was previously recorded in Jefferson County prior to contact with staff, but the title company contacted us because the existing lot lines crossed through the duplex were not erased by the duplex split, which created some title issues. Typically, we would not get involved with a duplex split at all because they're exempt from our subdivision regulations. They just create two ownerships in an existing duplex building, but they don't dissolve existing lot lines. So the title company contacted us to basically see if it was a requirement. We recommended a consolidation plat, but did not require it. But because of that recommendation, the title company ultimately asked us to pursue a consolidation plat. The city does believe it is in the best interest of all parties to consolidate the lots, which would allow for a simpler title and would eliminate the non-conforming lots that currently bisect the home the opposite direction from the intended duplex split. So the lot lines currently run north-south, the duplex split would run east-west. The existing building is a duplex, but it had not been split into separate ownership interests yet, so this wouldn't have come up before. And if the consolidation plat is approved tonight, the city will no longer be involved with the process and will allow everyone to proceed with a duplex split, filing it at Jefferson County. The existing conditions, these photos were taken a couple months ago, looking northwest from Chase Street. The existing duplex will remain, no work is proposed on the site, and the public alleyway I mentioned is located on the left of this photo. And then this is another view of the property, kind of looking right at it, showing both sides of the duplex. This is the plat. Consists of one page, which includes a legal description, signature blocks, and data tables. The plat map shows, shown in the top left, might be easier to look at the actual hard copy. It's not showing up too well here. Shows the outline of the subdivision and the 3 internal lot lines, which are now being removed as part of the plat. As you know, Wheat Ridge is not a full-service city, so we sent the application out on referral to outside agencies, as well as completed an internal review. As noted in the staff report, there were no concerns, and Public Works and Planning have both found the plat to be approvable. Notices were also sent to property owners within a 300-foot radius, and we did not receive any phone calls or letters on this application. So ultimately, staff has concluded the request meets subdivision regulations, will allow the duplex split to proceed through the title company, will simplify a non-conforming site, and will help prevent future land and title issues. For all of those reasons, staff recommends approval of the request, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you for that report. We'll start with questions from the commissioners. Over here, Commissioner Leo, any questions for staff?
I just want to clarify, the only reason it's in front of us is for the consolidation. It's not changing anything else on the property. It's just for the sale, for the recording, and it's for consolidation. I mean, there's nothing else, right?
Exactly, it's just a consolidation plat, no site work.
Nothing else, it's for recording purposes, basically.
Exactly.
All right, Commissioner Voss, any questions for staff?
Yes, I do have a question. I drove by the property today at between 2:30 and 3, and I did not see a public notice sign up. So was it posted? Is it required? Why wasn't there one at 2:30 this afternoon?
So the applicant picked up the sign from us. We created a sign and gave it to them. And I guess the applicant can answer that question directly. We don't go out and verify that signs are up necessarily, unless we're happening to go out to the site anyway. And notices also went out to everyone within a 300-foot radius, mailed from the city, and it was also published in the Wheat Ridge transcript. So, at least from a staff perspective, all our bases were covered.
Well, I thought it was 600 feet. You're saying 300 feet?
It's 300. 600 is only for a neighborhood meeting, and that would be for like a zone change or something like that.
So a neighborhood meeting's not required on this type of,
No, not
hearing.
for subdivisions.
okay. And so I have to wait and ask the applicant when he's up about the sign posting then?
I think that'd be the
The
best.
public notice? Okay. And then I did have another question. Who owns the alley? It's not part of the property, but who takes care of that, or
It's a city-owned alleyway.
alley?
Yes.
And then, I do have a question on future consideration statement. Is that something you can answer now?
Sure.
Could you explain that whole statement to me? I have a little question on the however line.
Okay. Well, so the property itself was built well before, I guess the building was built before Wheat Ridge was even a city. We incorporated in 1969. The duplex was built in 1963. So at the time, it was, I guess, an allowable use as a duplex, and has remained as a duplex since its construction date. So the property itself, by the R3 standards, would be considered to be non-conforming if, brand new construction was taking place. But because it's an existing use, the duplex can remain as is. And so I guess if the site was totally scraped, it would not be able to redevelop in the same fashion that it currently exists.
Right. It says the existing use can remain, and the consolidation plat, which is what we're doing tonight, reduces the nonconformity, so that means then it becomes conformed.
Well, it reduces the nonconformities because currently there are 4 lots that kind of cross the building, and that totally wouldn't be allowed today. So that, from our perspective, it's very nonconforming currently, and by removing the lot lines and cleaning up that property lines, it's reducing the nonconformities.
Then it does become conforming. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Larson, questions?
I guess my question would be, is this a fairly common occurrence? I imagine titles change hand on these duplexes, and Wheat Ridge has many. Does this come up all that often?
We've gotten a few of these, I would say, if you want to jump in.
Most of the properties on the eastern side of the city, at least south of probably 32nd Avenue, were subdivided back in the late 1800s, if you can believe that. And they were all done into 25 by 125 foot strips. So it's very common for somebody to have a house that has 4 or 5 or 2 of these lots that have a building that crosses them. Nowadays, we'd make them do a consolidation. Back in 1963, it was the county. Things are a little bit loosey-goosey, and so it's very common to see that. I even live in North Denver, and my 50-foot wide lot is made up of 2 25 by 125 strips. I don't know, that's just what they did back then. So by removing the lot lines, it becomes better from a title perspective. Title companies don't like to see lot lines go through buildings. Does that make
Then
sense?
wouldn't this issue come up every time a title changes?
It possibly. It kind of depends on the title company.
And is there something unusual about this particular title?
Not exactly sure, other than the fact that they did the duplex split, which didn't, so it's almost like they had the 4 lots, they did a duplex split, which made it 8 lots, so they're trying to fix the problem. So we do have it come up.
I would say it doesn't, a person could file a duplex split on a duplex building, and we wouldn't know about it necessarily because it's exempt from our subdivision regulations unless the title company contacts us for more information.
Right.
And in this case, the title company specifically requested a consolidation plat. We recommended it because I think it makes sense from a property consolidation perspective. It's nice to not have all these lot lines that don't really make any sense, but I would say 9 times out of 10, this wouldn't come up.
Commissioner Dorsey, questions for staff? Commissioner Ohm, do you have any questions?
I just have the one question. So I understand typically on townhomes, there are separate lot lines, correct?
Yes.
in the duplex, it sounds like, if we move, and this is one lot, that there's this duplex split that is not really a separate property line that you would see like on a townhome, something that would be on a plat, right? There'd be some verbiage, but there's no, I guess, graphic. Is that correct?
Yes. Sometimes they show up on the county records. When you go to search, it shows that separate ownership. Even though it's still one lot, it's got the
Okay.
two sides.
So there's a garage, so does it show the split through the middle of the garage then as well?
Well, we don't look at the duplex splits at all, so we don't
Okay.
know what it ultimately, the ownership would look like on that property. Presumably, there would be a party wall agreement where, they share common ownership of the yard, but then have each side separately owned. But again, we don't review duplex splits, so.
So I don't want to delve into it too deeply, but just out of curiosity, why is there lot lines on townhomes? I know that it's important to the value of the townhome that it shows property lines, and then the bank knows that it has real estate underneath it, which makes it valuable. Why isn't there, for duplexes, why aren't there, it's a shared wall, why isn't there something similar, I guess?
We have a lot of verbiage. You've looked at several townhome plats recently, and there's verbiage on there that they can only be used as townhomes, and that there's not a minimum they have to meet for that, whereas for the R2, they do have to meet a minimum. And where am I going with this? Those are for new townhomes. We have a lot of old townhomes that we don't know what it looks like.
Okay.
So for anything new, we
So-
would require a townhome plat.
But for a new duplex, you would not require separate?
Not necessarily, no, because
Okay.
it's R2 zoning, we don't want to, it's almost like if we make them subdivide the two halves, it kind of bastardizes the zoning.
Gotcha. So it's the duplex would have, if there were, say, 4 duplexes, each duplex unit would have a lot line, but not in between the 2 units?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Peterson, questions?
Yeah, I'll just continue this line of questioning because I'm really curious about it. So currently, there's one owner on this property.
Not sure. Yes?
I think so, yes.
I think you said there was one owner.
I know that it hasn't been split, so that means that it's 4 parcels owned by one person.
So currently, one person is paying the taxes on this place. This place being the land, which is our business. Once this is split, who pays the taxes?
So no, don't care. That's a county function.
Okay,
Typically, they have the two taxing entities. They'll show that two-person ownership,
okay, so it's irrelevant as far as we're
as
concerned.
far as you guys are concerned.
Okay, so I'll just continue to be curious about it. Okay, I'm used to that. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand where the other commissioners are going with this. It does seem sort of weird. The fact that there is no lot line that goes, parallel to the division, on the division line between the 2 duplexes, the fact that there's all these issues with the actual ownership of the land, and but you're right. We don't have to worry about that, so that's good. All right, any other questions from commissioners for staff before we hear from the applicant? Okay, thank you. If the applicant could, is the applicant here today? Are you the applicant, sir? All right. Would you mind coming up here? I think some of the commissioners might have some questions for you. If you could state your name and your business address for us, that would be great.
My name is Jeff Bustos. I am a realtor for the owners of the property, Ben and Chelsea Litzy. My business address is 7723 Everett Street in Arvada, 80005.
Great. And before we ask our questions, is there anything you wanted to add to the staff report?
No, I guess answering some of the questions, we had the subdivision done by Bell Surveying Company. There is a party wall agreement both for the duplex and for the garage that does separate the lot almost equally, not quite equally, but that was the intention from the very beginning. They bought it as a duplex. They intended to used it as a duplex, they bought it as an investment property, they used it as an investment property, and now they're trying to sell it as two separate properties so that they can 1031.
All right. So questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Peterson, do you have any questions for the applicant? Commissioner Dorsey, anything? Okay. Any from the sign? Okay. Commissioner Voss, questions for the applicant?
Yes, the question about the posting of the public notice sign.
The posting was done. I received notice from Scott that the sign was done. I picked it up the next day. I drove it directly to the property. I put it up in the front window. I have been there several times since then. Most recently, last week when we did hit our negative numbers at night, I went to make sure that the furnace was on so that we didn't break any pipes. It was up that day. We have had some work being done on the property by a contractor or a handyman. We did have a company come out and certify the furnace to make sure that it was working properly. And my only guess would be, the day I went out there was still up in the window. My only guess would be that there might have been a pressure change with the furnace coming off and on, and it might have blown out the window.
So it was on the inside, outside of the window?
Inside the window, facing outside, with the shades down. I thought that would keep it in place.
And I never even thought to look on the building because it's usually posted on the property out front, so it's readily seen. And it seems to me that the windows are kind of hidden, hard to see, so I'm not sure that was really a public viewing that could be had on that. So that just didn't seem correct at all to me as a public person, let alone a commissioner. So I'll just let that go. So the property is for sale now?
It is for sale.
Okay.
We went through the duplex split. We thought we were conforming with all the instructions that we had received. Like Scott had mentioned, the county did approve it, and we only had a hiccup with land title company. I did inquire with another title company that said that they would do the split without the hearing, but because of the recommendation, my clients decided that it was best to just move forward and making it easier for the buyer as well. We are under contract with one of the sides as of right now. We do have interested buyers on the second side, and we are just hopefully waiting to hear good news from this hearing this evening.
So your buyers are on the duplex and not on the property? I mean, the split goes with the purchase, but
Yes.
they're not buying the property, tear down the house, and build something.
No, we're selling it as two separate residences.
But well, one would have to agree to the other to tear down any of it, right?
That's correct.
The
They
building
both have a
as
private
such.
agreement that they both have to adhere to.
Right, so they are buying it as
Not
a
changing anything. It's
building-wise.
like this, and it's going to stay like this.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Commissioner Leo, any questions? All right. I don't have any questions either. Thanks very much for answering our questions. Now's the time for questions or statements from the public. Does anybody signed up? I don't see anybody. No ghosts signed. It is near Halloween, just making sure. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. Option A, I move to recommend approval of case number MS-18-03, a request for approval of a consolidation plat on property zoned residential 3, R3, located at 2645 Chase Street for the following reasons. The plat complies with the subdivision design criteria established in Article 4 of the Wheat Ridge Municipal Code. The plat reduces nonconformities on the property.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? All right. In that case, I will call for a vote.
Motion passed 7-0.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Old business. Save the date. November 5th, 2018, the NRS update joint session with City Council. Staff, you want to refresh my memory on what NRS, that's neighborhood revitalization?
Neighborhood
strategy.
revitalization strategy, which was originally done in 2005, and it created a fairly impactful policy document for the city that we based a lot of future zoning code amendments, and also, like I say, some other types of strategies to encourage investment and that kind of thing. And so this is refreshing, you know, that's been, 13 years, and so it's time to refresh that document. And both Lauren and Ken, they're not really on the committee, they're kind of silent bystanders, I think at this point is what the way they kind of said it, but it's by the original consultant, and we would highly encourage you to attend this study session. I know last time Commissioner Ohm had asked about, you know, some of the housing recommendations, and hopefully that is addressed in the document. I would think it would be, because that's been a hot topic these days. So again, I think we've only, have we had anybody, has anybody RSVP'd for it? Or plan to, okay. So we really would encourage you to attend that, because you are actually, you know, you assist with the policy making in the city. Usually that's driven by city council, but any zoning code amendments that would be proposed kind of based on that document, you guys are right in there. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
What kind of format is this? Are we just sitting around the table loosely talking?
I would think so. I'm not sure. I think the city manager is the one who's setting the agenda, not us. So again, we're kind of like I say, bystanders to the whole discussion. But again, like I say, it's an important document, and we would encourage you to attend.
Meredith, I have RSVP'd, but when will we see the draft, or has it already been circulated?
We don't know at this point what kind of packet will be put out. Like, again, it's coming out of the city manager's office, not ours. So I would assume you'd get some sort of packet ahead of time, but not sure what that will look like.
Getting it ahead of time would help prepare.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Thank you.
All right. Any more
I heard somebody say we need to RSVP. Well.
Lauren had sent something out.
Yes,
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think she sent out an email letting you guys know about it and hoping you'd respond and let them know. Yeah, if you want, I can pass it on to Lauren. Okay.
what is the time, do you know? 6:30 is usually. It starts at 6:30, okay. Yeah, I can make that.
All right, new business, another save the date, 2 days before this other save the date. November 3rd, the DOLA 2018 Planning Commissioner Workshop. This is run by the state, right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Golden.
In
so,
Golden,
In
okay.
Golden, and yeah, and I believe the city attorney helps.
Close to 3/4 of the day.
There's no fee for you. I'm sure you get lunch, and, oh, no lunch, okay, so no lunch, don't quote me on that. Bring your change, but they're usually pretty interesting with the content. It sounds like our city attorney is going to be participating in that, and so if you're interested in learning more about Planning Commission powers and duties, we would encourage you to attend.
Nice, okay. All right, is there anything else staff wants to let us know about? Okay. All right, any other words of wisdom from the commission? Oh,
One thing's,
oh, sorry, you had your chance. I'm just kidding. No, what do you?
We are losing one of our planners to the city of Denver. Zach Wallace Mendez has accepted a position, kind of an exciting position too. He's help me here, some sort of
Transportation demand management.
demand management, which transportation is kind of his bailiwick. He's always been interested. He ran for the RTD board. He was on Adams County Planning Commission. And so we will be advertising the position to fill that. So,
Nice. All right. Well. Well, congratulations, Zach. Best of luck to him. That sounds like a great opportunity. All right. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, the only other item on the agenda is adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Call for a vote.
Motion passed 7-0.
All right. Thank you, everybody.